Tech Tales 24. This is a time slip from last week on Wednesday. Today is Friday, May 7th, so that's Wednesday, April 28th. 10:40 a.m. to 12:51 p.m. and this is for the chiropractor's office. I was out there today. I took pictures. I'm going to show you pictures after we talk about this time slip. So this time slip was in response to L in the office, called and said that the iPad was unable to connect to the chiropractic software that they use. They take photos using the iPad of their patients. And I talked to you before about the iPad when I had to install the new version of ChiroTouch. So this was just, they've been using it for a few days, if that long. I'm not sure how long it had been at this point, and it wasn't working. So I'm figuring, all right, there's something going on with the new version of ChiroTouch on this iPad. I was wondering from the very beginning whether this iPad might be obsolete and might have a problem that way. So I found that when you launch the chiropractic software on the iPad, it would come up with a dialog box to connect to the database, and then you click to connect and it winds up coming up with an error message. So it can't do that if it's not connected to Wi-Fi. So it was connected to Wi-Fi, and the settings screen indicated it was connected to Wi-Fi. So I uninstalled the app, reinstalled the app. Now that's interesting. Did I actually reinstall the app? Because with what wound up being the problem, I shouldn't have been able to. I probably wasn't able to reinstall the app, and I think that's what led me on to the next step. So I think what I did was uninstall the app and then tried to get to the Apple Store to reinstall the app and couldn't get to it. That's what led me to the next step in diagnosing it. So I tried opening a web browser on the iPad, and that would not work. The web browser would open, but it wouldn't display a website, and it gave me some indication that internet not accessible. But I am connected to Wi-Fi. So then I take my cell phone, which connects to their Wi-Fi anytime I'm within range, and found that I could not browse the internet on my cell phone, even though it indicated that, yes, I am connected to the Wi-Fi. So I went to one of the desktop computers and signed in to the admin interface for the internet gateway router. And I had to look up credentials for that because I had a specific password assigned to it. I didn't leave it at the default password. Yeah, you should always change the password for the administrator interface for your internet router. Got in there and found that it showed the internet the internet was active and working. The computers were all able to access the internet. It showed that the Wi-Fi was functional. It showed some Wi-Fi client devices, including the iPad and my phone. But yet the devices could not connect to the internet through it. So it looked like everything was going okay. So I went to the troubleshooting section within the router's admin panel and found a place to reset the Wi-Fi module, just the Wi-Fi module. So I did that, wait for it to come back up, and then try again and find that I still don't have connection to the internet. So then I wait for their lunch break because it's getting close to their lunch break, and I choose an option within the admin panel to restart the internet gateway. So that's going to reset the Ethernet connections and the Wi-Fi connections. but this is restarting it from within the admin panel. So I did that, waited for it to come back up. The computers were able to connect to the internet, but not the iPad or my cell phone. So this isn't making a lot of sense. The only last thing I can do is unplug the power for the router and wait for a couple minutes and then plug it back in. I did that. Everything came up fine and worked beautifully. So the only way to deal with that was to do a power reset of the router. Now, I knew that I had done that in the past. It'd been a long time. When I got up there to the router box, I realized, oh yeah, I remember that now, because what I did is I took the power cable for the router and put a piece of pink notepad, Post-it note paper, taped it around there and said, internet down, disconnect this cable, whatever the wording was. I'm sure I used shorter wording. You know what? Now I'm remembering. No, there was nothing written on it. Yeah, there was nothing written on it. So I explained that to the staff, that this one with the pink paper on it, if the internet's down, unplug that for 2 minutes, then plug it back in. And it's happened before for this router. It doesn't make sense. The admin panel wouldn't show anything that was amiss. It's been a long time since that happened. Now this router is being utilized by both the computers and the phones in this office, because they have IP phones. And the phones were still working. Okay, so that was the solution for the iPad. And then, let's see, perform power cycle during lunch break. And then for Tracy in that office, I've already been authorized to use her name. Fixed access to scans by reconfiguring desktop icon. So Tracy recently got a new computer. I've talked to you about that. I used Fab's Auto Backup to transfer content from her old computer to her new computer. Her old computer was still connected to the network, and the desktop icon on Tracy's computer was configured to access the scans folder on her old computer. But I had already reconfigured the copy machine to send scans to her new computer. And I had tested it. It worked. I was connected remotely when I tested it. I had another staff person in the office scan an item using Tracy's button on the copy machine, and it worked. And now I'm in the office and Tracy's telling me it doesn't work. Well, it turns out she was clicking the scans icon on her desktop, which was a shortcut that was reaching through the network to connect to her old computer and find the scans folder, and she was able to open that, but it did not have her recent scans. Well, that's because I had reconfigured the copy machine to send the scans to the scans folder on her new computer, but I had not changed the configuration of that shortcut icon that was on her desktop. Now, I think what happened is with Fab's Auto Backup, it took the icon on the desktop of her old computer that was configured to go to the local scans folder on that computer, which was configured as a shared folder. When Fab's Auto Backup copied that along with all of Tracy's user profile to the new computer, that shortcut icon was still referencing to the original folder that it was configured to reference to. Meaning, on Tracy's old computer, I don't think it was configured to go to the network share on that old computer. I think it was most likely configured to go straight to the local scans folder, but that happened to be a shared folder. Now when Fab's Auto Backup copies that shortcut to the new desktop, apparently it adjusted itself however needed so that it would still be a shortcut to that original shared folder. That was kind of weird and surprising because I knew I had tested scanning and it worked. And she's telling me it doesn't work. And that was, that brought me to the solution for that. So then, let's see, what do we got next? Reconfiguring desktop icon. Assisted with finding method to reconfigure claim form printer alignment. So on Tracy's new computer, she goes to print a claim form, insurance claim. This is a chiropractor's office, so they do claim forms for insurance companies. So this was, I think, on a website. And when she goes to print, it wasn't aligning on the form correctly. Well, that had to be within the chiropractic software, not on a website. So I maneuvered to the place within the program to make those adjustments. As soon as she saw it, she remembered, oh yes, I have done this before. Because previously I explained to her that there must be a place to adjust the way the form prints. And she was shaking her head, no, there's no, I've never seen anything like that. But when I took her to the screen, then that refreshed her memory. Because it had been a long time since she had to deal with that. And so now she's having to deal with it because she's on a new computer, and it's actually a newer version of the chiropractic software. That's the whole reason we had to install a new server, was because there were a few versions behind on the chiropractic software because the old server was obsolete. So then I shut down Tracy's old computer that I mentioned was still connected to the network. I shut it down and removed it, and I've brought it back in here because there I have a series of videos, TC computer experiment, I think they're called. That computer has some kind of a problem with encryptographic services firing up every so often and just consuming the processor to where you can click on the start button and it can take 20 seconds before the start button responds. And it was causing her horrible problems. By the way, she's really happy. She had just done a process, I think it was prior to this time slip, on the new computer. That took an hour and a half. On the old computer, it took 3 hours to do because that one is so sick. In a bad way, not sick in a good way. Then I also removed an old laptop computer from the network that a transcription assistant uses to connect remotely from outside the office to proofread the chiropractor's transcription. He dictates using Dragon Naturally Speaking directly into his computer, and this person from the outside connects and proofreads that. So that was all 2 hours and 11 minutes. So now we're 13 minutes. I got to show you some pictures. I went out to that office today, took some pictures. Let me see how I want to bring this up on screen. Over here. And let's see, I think this button will show you pictures that I took at their office today. Look at this. What happened? 2 fire trucks visible. There were actually 8 fire trucks on scene. Let's see, can I do this? Yeah, I guess so. 8 fire trucks on scene. That is totally destroyed. This building over here is my client's office. Not this one. This is my client's office over here. They've been informed that they're not going to be able to have patients coming in there because this sidewalk right there, that's where their patients walk down to get to the front door. They don't want anybody walking along here because this is all hazard where it can, crash down on people. Let's see, was there, not that way. This way is another, oops, not that one. So here's a little more of it. All the water coming out to here. That's the building over there. This is the other side of the building. This is where their clients would come in. It was a physical therapy office. Holy moly, that's not a happy time. And we got a pretty good idea what was going on, what happened. The office was closed down for a contractor to do some work on the wiring on the for the air conditioner, because the air conditioner kept shutting off on them. They didn't know why. So there was an air conditioning contractor there that day inside working on it. My guess is whatever the defect was, them being in there futzing around with it triggered something. My guess is they probably didn't do anything wrong procedurally, but there was some fault in there that just being up there messing around in that area caused this to happen. So my client was out there, and we got into the conversation somebody did about their medical or their records in that office. It's physical therapy, so yeah, there's medical records, there's business records, and so on. So the conversation comes, their computers are destroyed. I hope they have offsite backups. My client looks to me and says, "Are we protected against that?" I look back to him, "Yes, we are." Almost. I didn't say that almost part to him, but we are. The old server, we have an on-site backup with rotating backup drives, and we have a cloud backup with Magnus Box. But I haven't completed the transition of Magnus Box to the new server. So we could have lost a few days worth there. The old server is still in place, still servicing other data. So I need to move all the rest of the data over to the new server, reconfigure Magnus Box, and get us fully committed to the new server. Just a little lag time between getting that piece done. So I was that's what I call a close call. So I'll get that done soon, promise you. That's it for this session. I hope this was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.